So one of the YouTubers that YouTube recommended to me today was a YouTuber named EmployeeAMillion. And he does obviously reviews on cartoons from Disney, Warner Brothers, Nickelodeon, and a variety of other studios. And one of the cartoons he talked about in a video he did, I think either yesterday, Monday, or Sunday, this past weekend, was on 101 Dalmatians, the animated series. And it just caught my eye because I always liked 101 Dalmatians, the animated series. I don't know what it was, but the series just seemed to have a uniqueness to it that I enjoyed. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I watched it from, its original airing to basically its, reruns on Toon Disney and Disney Channel and so on. And I can tell you honestly that there were some episodes and some scenes that got edited out, if not banned, because of their, I guess you could say their, whatever you want to call it, the sensitivity, if you will. But as I watched his review of the series, he talked about all the uniqueness of the characters, the personalities, the designs, the traits. He talked about basically it being an amalgamation, the series that is, of both the 1960s classic animated movie and the 1995 live-action remake. So he basically said, basically in his own way, said it was a unique, if not good, amalgamation of both, of both worlds. And he also talked about some of his more beloved and not so beloved episodes. And I was kind of surprised that he didn't lump in one that I thought had a very unique premise and very cute and adorable in its own way. And that was the season 1, episode 2.B or 2B episode, Love 'Em and Flea 'Em. Now, I think he did bring this up, that one of the unique features about the series is it kind of had, its share of, full-length episodes and episodes that were, that had, 11-minute minisodes, if you will. 11-minute minisodes contained within them, basically 11-minute stories. And Love 'Em and Flea 'Em was part of episode 2 of season 1 on ABC that was a minisode. And the other unique thing he pointed out as well is the fact that the seasons were ass backwards, excuse my language, God, where season 2 came before season 1 because season 2 was in syndication. But I bring up Love 'Em and Flea 'Em because of, like I said, its uniqueness and its adorableness. And why do I say that? Why do I say that, you might ask? Well, it's real simple. Because if there's one advantage I will give season 2 in syndication, is it introduced us to some of the other characters outside of our main foursome. Those other characters, of course, being some of the farm animals that came back from the 1960s movie and were incorporated into the 1995 live-action remake, but also the unique personalities and designs, distinct features, if you will, and characteristics of the other Dalmatian puppies, as well as some other, dogs and animals on the farm. And one of them was Two-Tone. Now, Two-Tone did appear in the live-action remake, when Jeff Daniels' character called her by name. Now, she looked like a regular puppy, a regular Dalmatian puppy. That's fine. But the unique feature they gave her here in the series was she had a black bottom, her bottom half was all black with a white spot, and her upper half was all white with a few black spots, and she had black ears and a beauty mark under her right eye. She basically served as the femme fatale, girl next door, and depending on the writer, the girl next door femme fatale with a good heart, with a kind heart, if you will. And I kind of got that vibe from the character. Yes, they had her hang out with, essentially for the time, the farm bully, or the farm, I guess you could say, anti-protagonist. Like, he was a good dog, but he kind of had a villainous, tweener-like nature to him, to where basically when he felt like it, he would pick on the other puppies or the other farm animals to basically ensure dominance, ensure that, they realize, hey, I run this place. I'm the farm dog. I'm the guy, if you will. So they would have her hang out with him, as well as 2 other characters as well that we kind of knew about in the live action series. And those characters was Wheezy, who was known for uncontrollably whizzing, pissing, if you will, and Dipstick, who is known for his uncontrollable urge to scratch because he had a lot of fleas. So they were kind of like the gang, if you will, the gang that, depending again on who the writer was, you weren't too sure about, like, were they good, were they bad, in between, so on. But you could just tell by her sometimes being on her own and kind of interacting with the characters that there was something about her that told you that if she was put into a romantic setting with Lucky, oh, they're going to get together, even if it's for that one little story. And when I saw Love 'Em and Flea 'Em, show up on ABC Saturday morning, as the second episode, of the series, I knew immediately when I saw the title. I was like, oh, it's going to involve Lucky and Two-Tone. And I was right. I was absolutely right. And the premise of the episode is basically, there's this, I guess you could say this dance coming up, in the farm. It's some kind of annual event or something like that, or it's just something that all the animals, the puppies, put together or something. I'm not really sure. But the one unique thing about the series is that they would put together these events in the barn and everything, which was kind of weird. That the Dearleys, who are the owners, the Dearleys, were not made aware of or anything. It was like you would think, the Dearleys, I should say, Anita and Roger, they would be like, hey, where's that music coming from? Where's that music coming from? And they'd go out and see it, right? So you'd think basically they'd be aware of it, but they weren't. This is one of those situations to where the puppies and the animals all kept it secret and stuff like that. Anyway, long story short, Two-Tone wants to go to this dance, and she wants Mooch to take her. But this is one of those episodes where Mooch is basically, portrayed as a jerk. Him, Dipstick, and Whizzer are portrayed as jerks. And, they don't want to have anything to do with Two-Tone, even though it's established that Mooch believes Two-Tone is his girl. But, again, he's basically portrayed and written in a way to be a jerk where, she's trying to hint at him, hey, I want you to ask me, she's basically trying to indicate to him that she wants to go to this ball with him. She wants him to take her. And he's not interested. He's not interested whatsoever. And what happens is that in between this, because she does hang out with Cadpig, at the beginning. So you kind of tell they got like a BFF thing going on. And basically it's when she finally comes up with a little unique look to try to get Mooch's attention. And, after she does that, she walks around, and then we kind of transfer, kind of fade over to Lucky and Rolly, who are getting some of the decorations, the pumpkins and everything for the dance, right? So they're walking, with this basket that has the pumpkin, and they see Two-Tone. And here is where you get your first indication that Lucky likes Two-Tone. Because he's basically like, he sees this and he's like, bow wow, how weird, But then he's like, oh, well, I still wish Two-Tone was going with me to the dance and everything. And that's your first indication, like, oh, Lucky has a thing for her. Okay. I like that. Lucky has a thing for her. You're like, okay, Lucky has a thing for her, right? So anyway, basically, Two-Tone tries to get Mooch's attention, try to throw a hint, his way. He doesn't take it very well. In fact, he basically tells her, hey, get away from me, get away from us, or Dipstick's going to put his fleas on you. And basically, Two-Tone ends up walking towards Lucky and Rolly, as they're getting some other pumpkins for the dance. And, one thing about Two-Tone's character, her personality, she's kind of like, she says, I could, or maybe I won't, I'll think about it, she's kind of like indecisive, right? And it's here where, she basically runs into them, and they compliment her on her look, and, wonder if she's doing that for the dance, and she says, yeah, I was, and then she wasn't, and then she just sadly says, but now she's not going to go. And this is where Lucky's like, okay, maybe I could step in, right? And he does. He says, hey, I'll take you. And what they do with two-tone here is so cool. It's so cool because, she says, she talks about how she was going to go, but then suddenly she's not because she's sad because, Mooch doesn't want to take her. And then, Lucky just, that's bad and, and all that. He says something. And then all of a sudden, Two-Tone turns her head, looks at him, and you see this image of Lucky being like a knight in shining armor. And it's like, he says, I'll take you. And and then that's it. And she walks off and goes, and she gasps in excitement a little bit. And she's like, and then she's walking away. She's like, you're on. And Lucky's reaction is like, rawr. He's like, okay, this is what I've been waiting for. And I like that. I like that little dynamic there to where it's like, here's Lucky. He's Lucky. He sees Two-Tone in her outfit at first and compliments like, bow wow, how weird. And then says, oh, I still wish she was going to go. I still wish she would go with me and all that, or I'd be the one to take her. And now all of a sudden, here's his unique opportunity. Here's this opportunity like right in front of him. Right in front of him because Two-Tone thought she was going to go with Mooch. Mooch turns her down because he didn't get the hint. Like, hey, look, I want you to go with me. I did this all for you. And here comes Lucky. He's like, you know what? He doesn't want to take you. I'll do it. I'll do it. Here he comes as she envisions him as a knight in shining armor. And Two-Tone in this episode does not waste any time. She rubs it in her own unique Two-Tone way. She rubs it in his face of, yeah, I was going to go with you, but not anymore. And if I was going to say I was going to go with you, and if I had anything to say to you, I'll say it to my new BF, my new boyfriend, my new date, Lucky. And whew, that gets under Mooch's skin because one of the unique things about the series, one of the fun things about the series, is Lucky and Mooch have a rivalry. They have a rivalry, and again, depending on how Mooch is written, sometimes it can be a friendly rivalry, sometimes it can be a very antagonistic rivalry, but they have a rivalry. And when Mooch hears that Two-Tone is going to go with Lucky now, doesn't sit with him because all of a sudden the light bulb goes off in his head like, oh shoot, that's why she dressed up that way. That's why she was trying to, that's why she was, acting the way she was towards us. She was trying to hint at me, hey, take me, to this dance. And again, the light bulb just goes off in his head like, oh crap, I screwed up. So what does he do? He basically goes out of his way to make sure the date doesn't happen. He basically gets dipstick by putting dipstick on a clothesline. He basically gets dipstick to, basically put some of his fleas on Lucky. And then when Lucky tries to go get this taken care of, he goes to Nanny. I think that's her name. And Nanny sees, that he's got fleas, that he's been, through the ringer, because they do other things to him as well. They have him get, doused with some kind of, smelly, some kind of smell, some kind of stinkweed. I got to go back and watch the episode. But basically, they get him to stink as well. So he goes to Nanny. And he knocks on the door, and Nanny's like, who is that? So she opens the door, she sees Lucky, it's like, whoo! She's like, oh, you need a bath. Because she's like, oh, you need a bath to get rid of that stench. But then she also notices fleas. So, she puts Lucky in the sink, gonna get the shampoo. Mooch sees this and realizes, oh, shoot, my plan's gonna backfire. But then sees the pink hair dye. And then he dumps it in there as well, and the end result is Lucky ends up getting washed, but he ends up turning pink. And basically the pink is going to wash off in a few days, but that's not enough time. So, long story short, he does get help from Cat, Pig, and Rolly, who basically dye him up with, or basically hide the pinkness with, the pinkness with, paint and everything, or flour or whatever. But unfortunately, that doesn't work. Because what happens is Two-Tone's waiting. Here comes Mooch. Mooch tries to come up with a lame excuse of, oh, Lucky's not going to be able to make it. He told me to take over for you. But then here comes Lucky to basically shoot that down, and everything. And just as they're about to go, into the barn for the dance, Mooch notices, oh, wait a minute. Because at first he's like, wait a minute, how did you do that? How did you get back to normal? How did you get that pink out of your fur? And everything. And then he notices as Lucky and Two-Tone are about to go in the barn that Lucky's feet are pink. And then he's realizing, oh, I think I know what it is. And he blows the stuff off of Lucky. But what's interesting is even though Lucky is embarrassed, Two-Tone is not. Two-Tone, even though she's surprised, she's not embarrassed because Two-Tone knows Mooch. And she knows, as scatterbrained as she might be sometimes, or as she's presented, Two-Tone realizes this is all Mooch is doing. But like I said, what's great about this is Two-Tone, she's not embarrassed by it. She's not embarrassed because she knows, even though she doesn't specifically say it and anything, you could just tell she already knows that it was all Mooch is doing. And she even compliments him, saying, I like this new look of you, And then she basically tells him it's not exactly, how he looks, but who he is that she likes and that she wants to go with and be with. And Lucky's like, oh, really? And she's like, yeah. And then Lucky just rubs it in Mooch's face and everything by saying, something to the extent of, something to the extent of, hey, you failed at trying to humiliate me. He said something. And basically it ends with them kind of touching noses, both him and Two-Tone. And then you see a heart, a heart iris fade out, with it. And that's it. That was it. And that's the end of the episode. I know this review probably went longer than that. I can guarantee you that. But still, I liked the episode. I really, really did. I really liked it, the little mini-sode, if you will. I liked it. Because to me, it's cute and adorable. And it does kind of, affirm that even though they're puppies, and they could be from the same litter, that, some of the things they do or have done in the show, or will do in the show, are based off real-life situations. Because, again, animals, even if they're from the same litter, they can mate. They can, get it on with each other. And I know this from experience because when we were living with my when we were living with our grandparents and a little afterwards, because, now, were we living with them? Were we living with them? I can't remember. It was kind of like going in between. I think we were still living in San Lorenzo on Micklin Avenue. But anyway, long story short, we, because of my aunt's husband, who had family in, I think, the Southeast, they sent out some Yorkshire pups. And one of the pups we got, we called Toby. And, my grandpa got one named Candy. They were the same litter. And what happened one day, because we would take our dogs over there along with some other along with our other family's dogs, most of the Yorkies, so the Yorkies can play, wear each other out. What happened is that as they got older, and everything, both Toby and Candy ended up mating. Yeah. So Candy, my grandpa's dog, my grandpa's Yorkie, ended up having puppies. And one of the puppies we got, we called TJ. And you could tell this was an incestual mating between the two because he had a bit of an overbite. And for a while I was out there, he liked me. TJ liked me. I don't know what it was, but he liked me. He's like, I'm going to be around with you a lot. And we already had a dog, too, a mixed terrier called Flags, because his ears would go up as flags. But, yeah, that kind of was even for me, I think I was like 13, 12 at that time, maybe even 11. But believe it or not, that was my introduction to the idea of, so it don't matter if they're siblings or anything, they could get it on, that being animals. And to me, that's what Disney did here. Now, they didn't go that far, because this is a kid's show. They did not go that far, but they did give off the impressions that even though Lucky and Two-Tone were from the same litter as seen in the movie, the live-action movie that is, that basically, they can fall in love. They can fall in love. And And to me, I liked the premise overall. Like I said, I thought it was cute. I thought it was adorable. It definitely, showcased a lot more of Two-Tone's personality, and showed that even though she hung out, and later on in the episodes, syndicated in ABC, why she would still hang out with them, even though she hung out with Mooch and his gang. Again, it all depended on who the writers were and how they wrote them and everything. That she was a good character. She was a femme fatale, like girl next door character with a good heart. That's how she was presented, in my opinion. Like, she had the femme fatale looks. She had the femme fatale girl next door look, but she also had a good heart, and I like that. And it was definitely shown off here. And it definitely showed her personality was exactly what her name matches to be. Very two-tone-ish, if you will. But again, I liked it. I liked the idea that, pretty much Lucky had a thing for her. And again, if you watch the syndicated run before the ABC run, even though the seasons are backwards because of that, you kind of get that vibe when, she would interact with our primary foursome, or just Lucky, or just Rolly, or Catpick. You kind of got that impression that, if she's put into a romantic story setting, it's going to be with Lucky, and vice versa, Lucky with her. And that's what we got here. And a lot of fans nowadays, in the past few years, if not decade, have already echoed those sentiments through fan arts and stories. They have. Because you could see that. You could see that without a shadow of a doubt, in my opinion. You could see that without a shadow of a doubt. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Let me know, what your thoughts are on Love 'Em and Flea 'Em. Did you see the episode on the mini-sode when it came out? Or did you see it on Disney Plus or Disney or Toon Disney? Let me know. Let me know how you felt about it. What did you think of the premise of Lucky and Two-Tone being together? I know this sounded like I'm rambling a lot. I do apologize. But let me know down below and in the live chat. And until next time, guys, I'm out.